Bring your awareness to your whole body from head to toes. And when we tune into the body, we've got physical sensations. We have the breath and energy. There's an overall kind of feeling of energy. And there's rhythms and patterns of the breath. Sometimes the breath is quite choppy or contracted, and other times it's quite relaxed and soft. We also have an environment in the thought stream. Sometimes thoughts are very compulsive and disturbing, and other times it's a little bit quieter. A thought will come up, and then there'll be a gap, then another thought will come up. And we also have this knowing that we're watching this. The body, the energy, the breath, the thought stream is like the content that's on the screen. And then noticing what part of us is watching that content. So there's a witnessing that happens. And also being aware that all of the content and the screen, it's all arising in the space of awareness. Our consciousness or our being. As we tune into the physical body, we can take a moment to check for any contraction or tightness that we might find. Generally, when we tune into the body and notice contraction or tight muscles, when we notice tight muscles in the body, just the noticing allows them to start to release and become softer. So we're working with this integrated system of body, breath, mind, thoughts. It's not like one is separated from the other, but we're focusing more on one and then focusing a bit more on another and then another part. All within this context of the space in which it's arising. So notice the space in which your body is arising. Be aware of your body from head to toes. And with a couple of exhalations, scan your body from head to toes and allow the obvious tension to relax. And notice that we have a sense of where our bodies are. We know how we're situated, how we're sitting. And we also can sense the space all around us. So the space a few inches in front of the face, there's some activity there with the air coming in through the nostrils and the air flowing out through the nose back into that space. There might be sounds in the room as well as the sounds of my voice. And those are airwaves coming through the space into the ears. And notice the space behind us is full. There's some furniture there, maybe the space underneath us as well. And that we're situated in a room, or if we're outside, we're situated on the ground with sky. And that even with the eyes closed, we know this. We can sense both the space that our body is occupying and the energy and experience inside, as well as the space all around us. And with the eyes closed, we can look to see if we can find a boundary or an edge to where our body is no longer in that space. So if your feet are on the floor, you could sense that where that sensation of pressure is on the bottom of the feet with the floor, that would be where your feet end and the space of the floor begins. But if you're sensing into the side of your arms, there might be a bit of pressure on your arms if you have clothes. If you have clothes on, there might be a bit of pressure on the arm. But if you're sensing the top of your head, it might be a little bit harder to notice exactly where your head finishes and the space above your head begins. So there's this physical space that we're in and the way that we perceive the space. And then there's the physical space that's inside of where our body is situated. There's this sense of energy and experience, muscles and bones, heartbeat, swallowing, all of those physical sensations. And check in the forehead and eyebrows. If we're worried about something, we often have some contraction there. And even if we're not, it can be interesting just to put our attention there, because we can let that soften a bit more. We could wiggle our eyebrows a bit and then notice the effect that has on those muscles. And consciously smooth out any tension or contraction through the forehead muscles. The eyes, the deep muscles of the eyes. And then notice the jaw, the hinges of the jaw. If your upper jaw and lower jaw are quite tight, give it a bit of space, allow all the muscles around the jaw and the mouth to relax. We all have patterns of tension in the body, and we generally have a favorite place where we store tension. For some people it's the forehead, other people it's the jaw. As we get to know our bodies, we can go directly to that place, relax that place, and oftentimes everything else will settle a bit as well. The back of the neck and the shoulders are another area where we can feel that. The muscles of the top of the shoulders and into the upper back can often feel tight and hard. We might notice energy in this part of the body as well. Sometimes we have an image of the energy in the back part of the body. As you exhale, see if you can allow your shoulders to drop, your arms to be relaxed. And notice if you can soften those large muscles of the upper back. Take a deep inhalation and notice if you can feel the expansion of the rib cage at the back of the body as well as the sides and the front. And then bring your attention around the front of the body again to the face and the throat. The large muscles of the chest that cover the rib cage. Notice the movement of the body with the breath. We can also notice the pattern of the movement. If the movement is quite relaxed and slow and deep, if the movement is kind of shallower, contracted, if there's muscle tightness anywhere through the chest. And again, this could be a habit that we have of anxiety or tension that causes this whole area to kind of seize up. When that happens, the movement is sometimes higher in the chest. There's a sense that the breath moves more in the upper chest than in the lower rib cage. So without giving yourself any kind of judgment at all, just notice what your breath is doing. Notice what the body movement is with the breath. And come to the inside of that space, the heart center, the chest, and notice if there's any energy there. If there's any sensation on the inside area of the chest. Whatever you notice probably isn't physical. It's more of an energetic sensation. And there might not be anything there, and that's absolutely fine too. We're just looking. And then bring your attention down into the solar plexus, the navel center, the lower belly. And again, we can notice the movement of the body with the breath. When we breathe in, the muscles lengthen. When we breathe out, everything settles. And notice the interior of that space, the energy that might be present around the stomach area, the navel center, the lower belly. It's very common for us to have sensation in this part of the body. Sometimes we'll also have an image of the sensation, or other images or thoughts might be coming in. So we're not really following that at the moment. We're more just staying present with the physical experience and noticing the energy, noticing what it feels like, noticing the dimensions of it, if it has any density or stillness or movement, if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels welcome or not. And bring your attention up again to the top of the head and the face, to the back and the sides of the neck, into the arms, down into the hands, fingers, fingertips. And then again from the top of the head, as you're exhaling, let your attention move all the way down through the body, through the legs as well, into the feet and the toes, the way that your feet and toes and heels are contacting the earth, the floor. Being aware now of your whole entire body from head to toes. Noticing your experience. And notice on an overall level the energy or prana, the layer of your body that has breath in it and energy, sensation. In addition to specific sensations we might be noticing in parts of the body, There's also an overall energetic feel. Like any of the content that we're witnessing, this comes and goes, it changes. Your experience now might be quite different than it was a few minutes ago. Or what it'll be at 7:30 tonight. These are not things that we can really know in advance. We can only have memories of our past experience and our present experience right now. What are we noticing right now? And just like we can't really predict what's happening with our body, our breath, our energy, we also can't predict thoughts in the mind. There's a layer of the mind, the thought stream, that generates thought. It's quite compelling. For most of us, we spend most of our attention, most of our time noticing the thought layer. Bring your attention up into the middle of the head, behind the forehead. Notice whatever it is that's happening. There might be no thought for a moment. There might be a thought comes up that just comes and then it's seen and then it dissolves back into no thought. And when we have an experience of relative quiet in the mind, there's more space or more room then to notice what else is here. We can notice that we're observing or witnessing our experience. We can notice the space in which it's all arising. And sometimes our thought stream is very busy. Energy that carries us along. We go from one thought to another in a train of thought. And there's nothing wrong when that happens. It's just the way the mind works. So as you're exhaling and inhaling and aware of your whole body from head to toes, the space in your body, the space all around your body. Notice that experience and notice what's happening in the thoughts. Let's just watch the thought for a bit. And some words and images that come up will trigger a response. Could be other thoughts or images. It could be we notice the forehead gets a bit tight. Maybe there's an energy somewhere in the body that gets activated or that changes in response to thought. So paying attention to the experience of the thought stream in this moment, resting without thought when that happens, noticing the space within, the space all around us, the space in which this is arising. When a thought comes in, noticing that thoughts come in as words or pictures or both. that they just kind of show up. We don't really plan what our next thought will be. And thoughts are often stimulated or triggered by what's going on around us. If I say the word tree, most likely an image shows up in your mind, maybe some words. There might be an energetic response to that as well. If I say walking on a beach at sunset, enjoying the ocean, the waves, the sound, that would generate a different experience. For most people, that would be positive, but not necessarily. Notice your own experience with that, and then notice how the mind kind of settles. Go back to observing the space in which all of this is arising, the thoughts, sensation. If you notice that you've been carried away on a train of thought, as soon as you notice, simply bring yourself back. There's no need for judging yourself for having a natural process of the mind. Bring your attention back, watching the thoughts as they come, and then letting them release or stop, or however it is that the process changes. Watching that whole process happen. And resting your attention without any thought until another one comes along. And open your eyes and continue this process of observing. With the eyes open, we have a lot of visual cues. There's a bit more of a distraction element with the eyes open. And as we move through the day, see if you can touch back into this observation of thoughts that are arising. How it is that they're arising. Notice when we're caught on a specific kind of train of thought that there might be more tension in the body. There might be sensation somewhere in the body. If we're caught in a kind of a daydreaming, pleasant train of thought, there will be a different response to that. It can be very helpful to learn and watch the mechanical process of how thought arrives and how sometimes there's compulsion, sometimes there's not. The ever-changing nature of thought. Becoming very familiar with this thought stream. And also when the thoughts settle, being able to rest in that space.